Good. Okay. It is February 10th, 2017. This is the CPCoalition Friday call-in. My name is Nathan Wood with Spectrum AEC, and today we're going to be talking about the contractor's perspective on the PDF guidelines for construction with Brianna Halfhide of Lendlease, our secretary as well with CPCoalition. Real quick before we dive into that, and let me just make sure. Want to go back real quick for everyone on the original vision of the CPCoalition, which was to maximize quality and efficiency of digital handoffs through collaborative guidelines by an adaptive and open source approach. And one thing that we've sort of been facing early on with our nonprofit startups and relationships with Frank Moore at Autodesk and other things we've learned along the way is that really a lot of our vision for open source collaboration, for digital workflows, and this need to focus on PDF, but that it is a little bit limiting in some of the other, Tim and I were talking about, IFC or ICF or however you want to call it, other files. But ultimately, what we're going to be doing and announcing on this call right now is that we're going to be slowly rebranding towards the Construction Progress Coalition. Again, same purpose, same vision, or well, slightly changed it. I'll update here for you. But same mission. And with that, I want to quickly give the updated vision here, which you'll see is quite similar, but to maximize the quality and efficiency of digital handoffs between design, build, inspect, and operate DBIO professionals through collaborative standards development. And this term DBIO, I think, is going to be really central to, we know what owners want, and it's always focused on owners, but really at the end of the day, there's so much confusion between all these different perspectives, and that by understanding the different perspectives and speaking to owners, but that really this is a guideline for us as DBIO, and that it doesn't necessarily include the owner. They're just a very key decision maker in this, because I know, Tim, that was something we had talked about on the calls before. But our mission here is to improve digital collaboration between DBIO professionals through a shared knowledge platform of open source best practices and lessons learned. So again, you see the crowdsourced best practices, where everything that we've formed as a coalition has been sort of by the people, for the people, really trying to grow that through online forums and other ways to create more collaborative guidelines at the project level, at the industry level, and then produce those out through media, through YouTube, other ways where we can really help, again, translate all the challenges, all the complexities of technology integration in this industry, make it easier for everyone so that we can all sort of move on through this digital transformation, so to speak. But without further ado, I do want to pass it on to Brianna, have her introduce herself, what she's doing, how she's dealing with PDFs. And with that, I will switch over to the Bluebeam studio session and look at her documents. So go ahead, Brianna.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brianna Halfhide. I work with Lendlease. I'm currently a project manager on the Oceanwide Plaza project. So Nate, if you could open up the Oceanwide cut sheet, I can give a quick rundown on the project that we're working on, and just to give you an idea of how large this project is at the moment. The Oceanwide cut sheet. So we are directly across the street from the Staples Center. It is 3 high-rise towers. The one on the left, the tallest tower, is 50 stories, and the bottom 18 floors is going to be a Park Hyatt. And then from 18 up is going to be Park Hyatt branded residence. And then the 2 towers on the right are 40-story towers that are just high-end 5-star residence. And then there's an 8-story podium down on the bottom floors that will have a jogging track around it, multiple swimming pools, and we're looking to hand this over Q1 of 2019. So right now, we have a current set of roughly 2,800 drawings in our plan room, and in our archive set, I believe we're just over 30,000 drawings in our archive history. So that's how many revisions we've seen to date. And then Tower 1 hotel drawings are still pending. We should be getting those CDs probably in March. So we're going to have a whole nother wave of drawings coming our way. So just to get you guys up to speed, when I first started with Lendlease on this Oceanwide project in April, we had a current set of drawings, but none of them were hyperlinked, and they were typically accessed via a web platform. So it wasn't saved on your desktop. It wasn't easily accessible. And again, no hyperlinks and no posted linked RFIs. So one of my first kind of stabs at getting to speed on the drawings was figuring out how to make a plan room with this massive set of documents. And we realized that the current set of drawings we were getting, the organization, if you see on the left, we were getting just combined files that had all these bookmarks. And you think, great, there's some bookmarks, we can use them. But some of the links were broken and things weren't necessarily accessible by the way they were sending them to us. And then scroll down, Nate. We also can see that some of the file sizes were just massive. We had documents that you couldn't open one single drawing on your iPad. You try and open it and it crashes. So what we did is we put together some of our issues that we were seeing with some of these documents and basically put a request for change in with the architect and the owner team and said, hey, you guys, here's how we want to be functioning in this plan room. Here's what we want to do. We can't do it because we're running into some of these issues with your documents. We had issues with naming conventions. Within your naming, if you have A101 and then you have A101.1, when you try and run hyperlinks, you're going to end up with two hyperlinks, one over A101 and one over A101.1. So you have two links on the same exact thing. If you zoom up just a little bit, you're going to see G004 and G004.1. Anytime you have the same name, one within the other, you're going to end up with two links, even if you use the whole word sort. So we put together this list of issues that we were seeing, and we put in a request for change. We sent them a letter and said, this is what we're seeing, and we used the PDF guidelines as kind of our backup and said, this is an unbiased third party. It's 69 pages. I know it seems very dramatic to be sending over a 69-page letter, but the letter has just some of the things we were running into, our drawing log for reference. We attached the guidelines. We also attached some of our correspondence we had been going back and forth on some of
That's why it's 66 pages.
Yeah, it's huge. So we just gave them a list of, hey, here's what we're seeing. Here's some of our issues. And said, this is what our goal is and where we want to go. And we, without just sending this over and dropping the bomb on them, we did schedule a meeting to go through these guidelines with them and talk through some of the changes we were hoping to make. So if you go back to the common issues, when you go to the second page, you're going to see some of the before and after. So when we first started, the G001.1 at the very top, keep going up.
Oh, at the top, okay.
Yep, the index sheet. So some of the naming convention issues, we spoke to them about why the naming shouldn't be that way or should be that way. And we understand it's not going to be perfect. And we know that asking them to go back and change everything is unrealistic. That's massive amount of work. And without them knowing why it's a problem beforehand, we're not going to expect them to change it. But moving forward with new sets we're issuing, if you scroll to the right, you're going to see that the new set of drawings that we were just issued are the interior unit plans. So all of the interior unit plans, they've used a different naming convention. And as you can see, there's no double up in hyperlinks. I know it seems like a lengthy name, but there's a reason behind all of these items. Any of the 410s are going to be your units. And then if it's a 1A, that's the unit type. So everything under 1A is the unit type. And then 0.1 is going to be your floor plan, your reference plan. 0.2 is your floor plan. And 3 and 4 are always your enlarged. So it makes it really easy to know what's what by the name. And it also doesn't duplicate your hyperlinks. So it's simple as having a conversation of what makes sense to have in the name, what doesn't make sense, and how do we avoid some of those duplicates. And then if you keep scrolling down, you're going to see our bookmarks. So I had referenced the bookmarks in the beginning. So scroll to the left, you'll see this is what we had received for our first set of specifications. Obviously, the bookmarks do flag all of the divisions, which is great. We can use this. We can work with it, but it's not perfect. And there's a better way to do it, not tagging all these random words within it. So it's just one clean list. So we use this, we collapse it, and we have our set of divisions. And we work with it, but the newest set of specs that were just issued for Tower 2 and 3 interior, you can see we explained what they were doing with some of their bookmarks, and now we have a clean list. And this is something that they use. They use the plan room just as much as we do. We've given the owner access, the construction manager, all of our subs have access. And them putting in a little bit of effort on the front end the right way gives a great output for everyone across the board. So as you can see, the difference between the two is night and day. And then keep zooming down just a little bit. Another item that we were looking at is the interior unit plans. So those are a new set of drawings. And yeah, we've kind of started to tackle some of the low-hanging fruit, as some people would call it, with your naming conventions and the way you bookmark things. You're still going to have issues. It's not going to be perfect. It's a work in progress, and you just have to find that happy medium. But if you see, we've got the IU 410 1B2, and if you zoom in on the image with the flooring, you can see there's a cut through that threshold. And you've got wood flooring on the left, and you've got stone on the right, and you've got a line going right through that tag. So it's not going to link because there's a line over it. And then if you go to the right, you can see I've zoomed in on what that text is, and we're back to that wonderful vector-based font, not your true type. So this is a product of, we have multiple interior designers. We've got interior designers for the hotel, interior designers for the units and the residences. And all of these people have been working on these drawings for years, and they used their native platform to create their drawings, and they're not going to go back and change it. So this is something that if we had gotten in earlier, if we had told this to the owner before we started, we could tell them, hey, don't use this font type, or don't use CAD, use this other program. But those are things that we know it's not always going to be perfect, but at least people will recognize what the issue is, and they can at least move that call out to maybe the other side in the future. But these are some of the bigger issues that we're constantly working through, and we know it's not going to be perfect. So we did create a customized guideline for the ocean-wide project, and we got together with the team and talked through what we would expect from people and who the reps would be for each side. And we did put together a guideline for ourselves, and we're working to it, but understanding that this was a GMP project and we didn't buy it out like this, and maybe the architect isn't going to meet every single one of our requests, but at least they know that there are things they can do to help us on the other end. I wanted to save this one for the end because this file does tend to crash computers. But if you open up batch link whole word on the right.
You're really going to test this Mac version of review here.
Oh, we really are. So this was an example of one of the correspondences we had gone back and forth. So if you scroll down, what I was referencing for that batch link running into issues with multiple links on top of it, we went back and forth with Bluebeam and the architect to figure out what the best way was to accommodate some of the naming conventions we do have, and using the whole words only and going with some of these maybe different approaches for our batch linking helped immensely, but the architect did work with us. Another one is overlay issues, which is going to be another document on the right. So if you open up overlay issues and scroll down, this is A10, which is all chart format. And on the right, you can see the layers that the architect had for their different layout. We had access to these layers. And when it came to us as one big PDF, the layers were turned on in the correct way. But when we pulled them out as individual drawings, some of these layers turned on and off, and the content was severely changed. So if you scroll down, Nate, you're going to see what it looked like once we extracted that document. And you have just jumbled information. You can't even read the document. So you can see when you exported it, it had just every layer turned on. So we talked to the architect and told them, hey, you've got these viewports and these layers that are turning off and on. You need to flatten your drawings, explained what the issue was. And from now on, they make sure they've got all their layers locked. And we've given them an explanation on how to best do it. When they pull their drawings from Revit and put them into CAD, because that's what their consultants need, they were using CAD to send to us as well, which is where they were running into some of these plotter configuration issues. So just simply telling them what the problem was and giving them a way to solve it. Not always making them solve the problem for you, but giving them, hey, this is what I see. This is my best practice. And I actually reached out to some other architects that I know through the PDF Coalition. So using the resources you have and us being that group to kind of provide solutions or assistance or an unbiased party. And then the last one is that large file. So when I was referencing some of the file sizes that I had when I first started back in July, this is one document. We had probably 10 of these exterior elevation documents, and 10 of these documents on an iPad, it just crashes. So Nate, have you tried to click on it?
I'm afraid to. I did. I'm just
Do
going to
it.
leave it
Click on
alone.
it.
It's
Yeah,
going
let
to
it
circle
be.
for a while. Yeah, okay, it's going.
It's going, but it's slow. And it's a wonderful document. It has a boatload of information, and the architects clearly have put in a ton of work to create this image. But at the same time, what we're trying to use that document for doesn't need that detail. So we tried to reduce file size, take a screenshot, do everything to try and manipulate this document to be a smaller size. And it was as simple as they just needed to give us a more dumbed down version. And most of the time we don't want that, but sometimes we do. And in a situation where you have 3 towers and all of the details for the exterior elevations, you don't want all that detail. You want it to be something that you can send to subs, you can do markups on. While it's great to have this file and we keep it for our reference, don't zoom in at all, Nate. Just let it load. It's every time you move it around, it'll pause on you. But as you can see, this is a file that we can't actually work with. While it has great content, we can't work with it. So we came up with a better solution on how to export this PDF. Now zoom in just a little bit.
I'm afraid to.
Do it. Do you zoom in?
Yeah, it's circle of deathing again.
So this is what happened. So anyways, we rectified the problem. We've got them exporting in a way that doesn't cause some of these issues that we're seeing. And it's as simple as just having a conversation.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Brianna. I know Alan Engel would say that should be a 3D PDF and not a 2D that might as well be 3D.
We have 3D PDFs of this, and we love it, but definitely not what we want as our just PDF for use.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Brianna. And we'll talk afterwards about what stuff, through Lendlease you're able to share or not, and hopefully get some of those best practices into the guidelines.
Definitely.
Awesome. And with that, I actually want to pass over to Jim Gentile. We're going to go through some of the new structure and how we've been kind of collaborating back and forth on responding to a lot of the feedback and a ton of comments on version 2 of the guidelines, which is great. Actually, I do want to show one thing from version 2, and then I'll pass it to you, Jim, to go through 2.1. But pretty cool. Sasha Reed, I don't know if you guys know, from Bluebeam, one of our co-founders. She was in Sweden, actually, I think 2 weeks ago, and a lot of the Construction PDF Coalition and things that that they're dealing with, that we're dealing with, a lot of the shared pains, even internationally, with dealing with standards. And they are much more IFC favorable, but recognizing really the value in PDF. So they say hello from Sweden, but exciting stuff there. But with that, let's dive into what we've done in version 2.1. You want to go ahead, Jim?
Sure, absolutely, guys. Thank you. Jim Gentile with Lendlease, Quality Operations Manager here in Los Angeles. And couldn't have been, Brianna couldn't have set it up any other way or any better for me to kind of tie into how we're going to talk about version 2.0.1. And really the biggest thing that we want to talk about, Nate hit in the presentation. It's digest, debate, decide, and deliver. That's the constant theme that you're going to see within the guidelines. So the digest is why it is important. The debate is what is the right way to do it. The decide portion is what are the current standards that exist, and then deliver, what technologies can meet the standard. And of course, there's the negative side as you go through that. So Nate was jumping to that right section when you talk about just the naming of your sheets and how you do that. So understanding how Brianna was just able to rattle off that interior drawing, how 1 was this, 2 was that, 3 and 4 and 5 were this within the naming of 401, and really talking to that architect about that structure breakdown. And using the archtoolbox.com, we were able to find some really neat information that kind of helped us create the debate. And when you look at that right-hand side and what the issue could be and how there could be issues on a current set of drawings, it really kind of helped with that sheet naming convention throughout our process and kind of with our color standards. As you move down just another page and we use sheet size and that plot location, again, we're showing you on that right-hand side some of the what not to do or what's the wrong way to do that. And then like Brianna said, just talking to that architect and getting them to understand how we use the drawings and what software we need to use that makes a world of difference. And again, as you continue to go through version 2.0.1, you get to see kind of the metadata and how the best practices work. And then when Brianna talked about the true type font and how that worked and didn't work, through that process of how a hyperlink now doesn't work. That's a huge issue when, you know, we're relying on the superintendents or somebody in the field to be based on a hyperlink to make something work or to view a document. It really kind of makes sense. We really feel like breaking up this document within these main sections or pain points really helps and really puts a larger picture together or paints that picture easier for that architect. If you look at page 9, really quickly, it's even establishing the standard colors for your project. You know, understanding what is already out there, whether it's USC or within Lendlease on your BIM execution plan, or just even with the markups or the hyperlinks that you have. So we really kind of focused on each one of these sections, as Nate was pointing out earlier, up in the appendix on page 2 or 3, I think it is, where you can really see how we've broken that down. Actually, on page 2, Nate, if you wanted to jump there,
yes,
you can really see how we've broken everything out within sections 1 for the PDF document consistency, the PDF document quality, and then the PDF document collaboration. And really back and forth within, you know, Google Docs, whether it was within Bluebeam sessions, and just kind of really taking all the comments that we've received to make these edits and these updates to this version. And then what Nate's been really working at is the appendix. So we'll kind of jump into there with Nate and kind of talk about some of the appendix work that we've done within the new guidelines as well.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. And again, taking a lot of the really great feedback from, you know, Ruben, Tim, others, and really trying to think, how do we make this as collaborative as possible? And so you'll see towards the end, a lot of these are completely blank right now because, you know, we know that we need to talk about our permit review process and where does digital signatures. There's a lot of debate back and forth on digital signatures because honestly, it's not very well known right now. But so what do people know? Let's start putting information in here. Let's start debating, figuring out, you know, how do we get more digital city permit review processes or submittal review processes or RFI, you know, collaboration more efficiently. And it's fairly electronic right now, but I wouldn't say it's digital integrated. Same thing with job site document access and version management. I've been to some really great Bluebeam user group meetings where folks like Excel Construction are talking about dashboards and other areas. You know, let's put those best practices in there and start sharing that. And then operations handover. You know, I think Alan can probably talk for days about the best ways to do operations handover, and I'm sure Brianna and I can talk about how much we hate operations handover. But you know, we need to have that debate there and talk through that. And then real quickly, just how we've structured the appendix now, because I know it didn't have very much logic last time. We're trying to follow that same digest, debate, decide, and deliver structure with an appendix A for glossary for our definitions, frequently asked questions going into that debate area. We want to definitely better define in the future and looking for comments on how to sort of have a worksheet that is a form. We used to have the web form for version 1 that we may update or get feedback on how best to make those decisions at the project level as an appendix. And then, you know, all those best practices, all those different links by category that, you know, Brianna's stuff from today, you know, as much we can put in there, other areas. And then the best of the best can go, you know, sort of to the front, and then we want everything else, you know, to be in the back because everybody does it differently. The more stuff we have to choose from, the more stuff we can search from, and the better, but we have to keep it organized. So, you know, a lot of those decisions that we're going to have to figure out as really a grassroots organization. But with that, because we are a grassroots, and wow, we have 22 people on the call today, which is amazing. And I know we're probably not going to get through everybody in the next 5 minutes, but I do want to have everybody at least be able to introduce themselves, you know, who they're with, what they represent. If it's your first caller, you know, what's your interest, and if you're a repeat caller, you know, any thoughts on today's discussion. So with that, I'm just going to go through the list alphabetically. Alan Lamb.
Oh, hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Go ahead, Alan.
Oh, this is actually Alan. I'm from Bluebeam Tech Support, and I was just really curious about what you guys were, what you guys do in this meetings. I want to get a better idea of, who attends, and just get a general overview of how the CPC meeting goes.
Awesome. Thanks, Alan.
Yeah.
Next, Alan Engel.
Alan Engel with JLL. Glad to be here.
Alan Engel is our vice chair / now you're formally vice president. I don't know if you knew that, Alan, now that we're a 501c3, but any comments from the owner's perspective?
I came in a little late, so.
Okay, no problem. That's fine. We'll get to you later. I was going to ask you about.
I heard your 3D PDF comment.
Yeah. I actually think that a 3D PDF of that project would probably be a smaller file size than the 2D PDF was.
I don't know. The 3DF still are very big. I'm
Whoa, Alan, you're really loud, so try and figure that out. We'll keep going. Sorry. Okay. It says here, AM Rita. Who was that?
Yes, Amrita.
Oh, yes, Amrita. Sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. Yeah, I'm with Jacobs, and I've been talking to Andrew Gare at Bluebeam quite a bit. I developed a whole collaborative QC process internally. So he suggested I can join this and just at least, hear what's going on.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And if you're in the chat, there is a link into that studio session, and we would love to have your thoughts and best practices and input as an industry practitioner. So thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah, Nate, I think on that point, we'll be closing out version 2.0 today, and then keeping version 2.0.1 live for comments.
Awesome. Great. But we definitely want to leave 2.1 up in case, 2.0 up in case people want it. But I think we want to focus comments on 2.1 right now. All right. Moving down, Colin.
Hey guys, Colin Creech with Bluebeam here. I work with a lot of construction customers in the Southeast, so just wanted to join and learn from you guys. So thanks for having me.
Thanks, Colin. All right, moving on. Derek W. Oh, I'm sorry. I got to unmute you. Sorry. Go ahead. Now you're good.
Okay. Derek Wilfong with Anchor Moisten Architects. Just always interested in learning from the contractor's perspective, kind of what they look at when they look at an architect's drawings. So it kind of just helps us to make things better on our end.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Yeah, I know it always sounds like we're whining, but it does impact our days too. Shared pains. Okay. Moving on. Oh, Drecker. Oh, David Drecker.
Yeah. Hey, Nathan.
Hey, David. How are you?
I'm good. So, David, another Bluebeam. It's like a Bluebeam party. I'm taking care of accounts up here in Canada, and just trying to make sure I've got a fully informed perspective from the contractor side and designer side, especially referring to large document sets. So I was interested to see Brianna's presentation.
Awesome.
So
thanks. Moving down, looks like, is it Jay Levine? Or, yep.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, Jesse Levine from Trimble. Work on the project site product here, which has some drawing capabilities, and just wanted to learn more about best practices and standards that you guys are coming up with here. So nice to learn. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Lillian. Oh, I need to unmute you. Sorry. Go ahead. Or maybe Shiz. You there? All right, we're going to keep going. Lon Smith.
Hi, long-time listener, about third-time caller. I'm with Bernard's Systems and Integrations Manager, and just happy to be here, seeing what's
Awesome.
going on.
Any of these specifics you face yourself in your line of work that Brianna talked about today?
Again, I think the biggest thing we still struggle with is just the propensity for a lot of designers that are working with a DSA job, and I guess sometimes OSHPD, to insist on giving us scan sets rather than anything conforming. But that's about it, unless somebody out there has got a really great, fast OCR program. But yeah, it's good stuff. We're things are advancing all the time. We're really enjoying some of the new things that are coming out too.
I just wrote in the last version to try and avoid OCR at all costs, because it's such a backwards way. But I know sometimes it's a necessary evil, unfortunately. Yeah. Thanks, Lon.
I'd probably debate the necessary part of it, but that's
wow. Yeah, exactly. It's just evil. That's what. Yeah, let's debate it on the guidelines. Okay, right. Moving down. Oh man, I'm gonna screw this one. Prasnavati.
Yeah, this is Pras.
Pras, nice. Good.
I've been fleetingly associated with the group. I actually was introduced to it 2 years ago at the Bluebeam Extreme Conference, and attended a few sessions, and I fell off the grid and was hoping to reconnect. I'm from PNC Studios. We are an official Bluebeam reseller, but also do a lot of consulting and training on Bluebeam, and we are going to see how this coalition can educate and take most commonly faced problems and find out what consensus solution making can bring people together in facilitating adequate use of the tool.
Awesome. And let me go back to Lillian. You ready? Oh. Lillian, can we hear you?
She put.
Oh, I got it. I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
In the chat window, but I'm really excited to contribute to this version. But I do get the chance to work with a lot of cities and municipalities, and digital signature is something that always comes up, especially for the permit review process. So I'm excited to contribute to that, and also equally share these guidelines as a resource for them. So every city I've talking to, all of them have been excited to hear that there's something like this out there. So it's not just coming from Bluebeam. There's a coalition out there besides us who's thinking about this on the PDF front.
Absolutely. No, I mean it is certainly a shared pain across the board, and that's where it's been great that it's brought us together with the guys over at openpermit.org that are a nonprofit specifically around. They come from the AHJ, the jurisdiction side. So it's great to see that we're slowly bringing everybody together. So
Nate, I also want to give Lillian a massive shout out. She has been like our support through getting some of these issues worked out. So again, thank you, Lillian, for everything you do for us. You are such a great resource.
Yeah, thank you, Lillian.
Awesome. And that is a great point, that I think just so much of this is about communication, and that there's simple little button clicks inside these programs that we just have to get to the conversation. And usually we never get to the person to have the conversation to figure this stuff out. So again, another great purpose for why we're doing this, but let's keep going. Moving on to Robbie. Robbie, we will come back to you. Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, Tim Milsich here, Folsom Construction Management, Lakeland, Florida. This is about my fourth call. I am just very interested and dedicated to helping to standardize what I call smart PDF as deliverables, for better collaboration, the organization of documents for the entire life of the project, from design through construction and maintenance, and just like to get collaboration better, and living the shared pain.
Absolutely. Well, and Tim, hopefully you definitely got some more out of today's call with Brianna's approach. Did anything resonate with you as far as that approach of talking to some of the architects about the challenges that you're facing?
Well, the hyperlinks and the text for sure. That's one of the things one of the hardest things that I've had to try to convince some of the architects, especially some of the ones that have been doing it for a long time, using CAD, for 20 and 30 years, and getting away from the SHX texts. But at least, I am an extreme Bluebeam extreme user, and I use OCR, and that certainly helps. But I understand some of the issues that she was going through with the hyperlinks and the lines going through, getting
Yeah, and hopefully, you know, what you can get from this and what we'll end up putting into the guidelines is some of that strategy of how to have the conversation with the architect to actually not have to OCR, to not have to do those things. That rather than figuring out how to work around it, we actually approach the conversation of what is broken in you know the transfer process. So, you know, hopefully knowing that it's half the conversation and half, you know, what we do inside the technology.
Yes, definitely the communication and you know, with the architects in particular. I don't want to single them out, but they're the ones that do the basic drawings. So, you know, some help there as to how to.
The buck has to stop somewhere, right? All right. Let's see. I think or at least the last, and then I'll go to the phone callers. Is it W Strength?
Yeah, Bill Strength with Pittsburgh State University in Kansas, teaching the construction management program. I've been listening off and on since the Extreme Conference in San Diego in August, and try to get some of the information to be able to pass on to the students so they got an idea when they get out.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Jim is the 213 number, and we may have a 626 call in, or that's probably Lillian. Is anyone else on the call on the call that we missed, or should we go ahead and close up? All right, going once.
No, it's a great call, mate. Thanks for hosting again. Excited about 2.0.1 and where we're headed.
Okay, great. And yeah, Robbie is an architect from Charlotte. So Robbie, hope to welcome you on future calls, and sorry about the audio. And with that, yeah, we will close out and look for another update in a couple weeks on a Friday call, and we'll keep pushing on. And for those of you who are going to the Procore conference, we will be announcing soon that we're going to be having an event at the Procore conference. So I look forward to that.